Your 3.3 video notes. We're going to be using formulas today, and the reason we're doing this is because we have just been solving a lot of one-step equations, and this lesson is going to bring that into your real life. Formulas are something that you use to set up an equation and figure out something like distance, how many gallons your car gets, what is the length of a side of a rectangle, so things that you would see in everyday life, and formulas are going to help you do that. There are so many different formulas out there, it's crazy. So I'm going to teach you 3. If you guys can come to class and share any other formulas that you might have heard of in the past, that would be awesome. So I'm really excited about this. We're going to do lots of fun activities when you get to class on Tuesday. So make sure you are familiar with these 3 formulas when you come to class on Tuesday. There's going to be lots of opportunities to earn raffle tickets here, so make sure you watch all the way through and take some good notes. Alright, so distance formula is first. Now this is going to be used if you need to figure out how far it is to go on your road trip, how fast you have to go when you're driving on your road trip, how much time it's going to take. So you can figure out so many different things with this little formula. So the distance formula is just distance equals rate times time. And I always think of dirt when I have to remember this formula for some reason. So hopefully that will help you a little bit. These are your units. Anything in red today, please make sure you get that in. So when we're talking about distance, how you would label distance, or how it might be a hint that that is talking about distance. You might see miles, feet, inches, anything that is dealing with how far you might go. Rate is kind of the same thing as speed. So if you're traveling in distance of miles, you might be going miles per hour, miles per minute, whatever your time is going to determine your rate or your speed. Could be feet per second. So notice how you always have that per something. And then time is kind of simple. Hours, minutes, seconds, however long you're recording it as. So we've got our formula. Here's an example that you might see tomorrow. We're missing the distance. They give us the rate and the time. So the first step is going to be figuring out what formula, and this one's clear because I'm giving it to you. But you're going to plug in all the information into the formula that you decide to use. So I don't have the distance, so I'm going to keep my variable there. I don't know it. I know the rate, and I know the time. So I'm just plugging it in. I'm replacing the variables with the values I'm given. So remember to what we've been doing for solving equations. This one is so nice because my variable is already by itself on one side. So I don't have to worry about doing the opposite or anything like that. I'm just going to simplify this side. So 60 times 40 is going to give me 240, and that is my distance. Now the tricky part is you always have to label it. That's what I'm going to be looking for. So 240 what? 240 hours, 240 miles per hour. Well, distance is always going to be how far you're going. So if it's miles per hour, then I must be traveling in miles. So the units that you're given are going to be a big hint into what your units of your answer are going to be. Okay? Let's try another one. That's the distance formula. And then our next formula is the miles per gallon formula. So this is going to be helpful to you when you finally own your own car, or you start driving your parents' car and you have to start filling it up with gas. So, miles per gallon, I'm going to just label as MPG, is going to equal miles divided by gallons. So the units for this formula are super simple because it's already labeled for you. You're going to see miles, gallon, and then miles per gallon. So super simple. So we've got an example here. We're looking for miles per gallon. So obviously I'm going to use my miles per gallon formula. So I'm going to plug in what I know. I don't know miles per gallon. I do know that the miles is 150. Oops. And I do know that gallons is 5. So again, what I'm missing is already all by itself on one side. So this is nice and simple. All I have to do is simplify this side of my equation. So miles per gallon is going to equal 30. So 30 miles per gallon. So you might not realize it yet, but to get 30 miles per gallon of gas is super nice. So that's a really good car. If you're going to go buy a car, you want to find something that has similar miles per gallon of that. So that's the second formula. And then the third formula I'm going to want you guys to know is the area formula, but just the area of a rectangle. So this is helpful when you are, if you ever have to put carpet in your house, figuring out how much carpet you need for the area of a room. If you're building something, you need to know the area. So the area of a rectangle, how to figure out how much space is in there, you're going to do area equals the length times the width. So how long it is and how wide it is. If you multiply those together, it will tell you how much area is inside that rectangle. So you're going to see length and width. These two things are going to be feet, inches, millimeters, whatever you can measure something with. The important thing to remember is that area has to be squared. So here we have an example. We're looking for area. So I'm going to use my formula. Oops. And I'm going to plug in what I know. I'm missing the area, so that's going to be missing. I know the length, and I know the width. Again, my variable is all by itself, which is really nice. So I'm just going to simplify this side. So area is going to equal 27. Now my units I'm going to take from my length and my width. But again, if you're finding area, it has to be squared. So you're just going to want to make sure you do feet squared. Okay, so there's an example of each. I want to show you, just give you a little preview of what we're going to be doing tomorrow, which is talking about word problems. And I'm going to teach you a strategy that's going to help you with these. But just to give you a quick example of what you're going to be asked to do tomorrow, let me read this to you. The area of my family room is 80 feet squared. The length is 8 feet. What is the width? So I'm looking for the width. I've got the length, and they're giving me area. So the first thing you're going to do is find the information. Then we're going to say what formula you're using. This looks like it's going to be the area formula. Then you're going to plug in your information, set it up. So our area is going to be 80. They give me that. My length is 8, but I don't know the width. Now let's take a step back for a second. This looks very different than what we set up in our 3 examples up here. The reason is because now my variable is not all by itself. So this is like what we've been doing for the past 3 days, solving for the variable. So in order to get W by itself, think about it. What do you have to do? Hopefully you said, got to do the opposite. So to get that W all by itself, just like we've been practicing, we got to do the opposite. So this is multiplication. So we're going to divide. W is now by itself, and my width is equal to 10. 10 what? Well, it looks like everything was feet, so 10 feet. Okay, so we're going to be stepping it up a little bit in class. You're going to have to solve for that variable, get it all by itself. So be ready to do that when you get to class. Now, secret message. When you come to class, I'm going to ask you to get your note packet out. I'm going to walk around. If you tell me, Ms. Sanford, formulas rock, I will give you 10 raffle tickets. Okay? So make sure you do that. Make sure you're ready to do some work and activities with this. Also, maybe it might be interesting for you guys to ask your parents how many miles per gallon your car gets, so we can compare, you know, what kind of cars get what kind of gas mileage. So if you have a chance, ask your parents how many miles per gallon their car gets. All right? I will see you guys tomorrow. Be ready to work.